So welcome to another episode of the All Ears podcast. We are on location here in Manchester. We're on the road. We're moving around, getting some different guests for you all together. We're here in Elizabeth Tower. Beautiful backdrop for everybody. And I have a great guest who has lived a very varied life and is now a surgeon into a whole new realm. So it's a very interesting conversation. I hope you guys enjoy it. All right, Kane. So what is harder? Building up a successful clothing brand like you have with BADR, or spending time in prison?
It's a very tough question. You've asked me for. I'd say building a clothing brand. If I'm honest, I feel like with being in prison, for me it was, at the time that I went in, even though I was doing all the cage fighting and I was young, and the time that I spent in there, I feel like I would never have changed that. Do you get me? I would never have changed the past that I went through, because it's made me the person that I am today, and I'm proud of the man that I am. And I feel like that time was a time that I was needed, because if I didn't go to prison, I was potentially going to end up dead. And I could have ended up in prison for murder, or I could have ended up being a victim of murder and being dead. So for me, I went to prison and I come out a better person. Yeah. And that time for me is a good time, and it was a fun time, and it wasn't necessarily hard. The only thing that was hard for me was time away from my family, feeling like I'm losing my life a little bit in terms of being locked away and wasting. But in terms of the clothing brand now, it's a proper challenge, because I didn't have great education in school, so I've had to come and learn on the job, and building a brand. It's been fun, don't get me wrong, but you're entering into a competitive space, and to be able to do what we've done over the past 6 years with BADR is amazing. And we've developed one of the biggest brands in the UK in terms of brand awareness, and it's been very challenging. It's been full of ups and downs. It's been testing. It's been I've been through more in these 6 years, a lot more testing, mentally testing situations with the business than I ever did when I was in jail for the 4.5 years. So I'd definitely say building a brand.
I think that's something that a lot of young guys kind of, they hear people like you talk about it, and myself, of like dark moments in your life, as dark as it sounds, going to prison and spending 4 years away, is like, they're the moments that shape us into the men that we become. So it's like, mine's slightly different, because it was an option choice, but I chose to sleep on the floor and then live in the gym to train and not have an income and anything like that. It's a very different situation. But to most people, if you said you want to go sleep on the floor and train MMA every day,
of course,
they wouldn't want to do it. But for me, that's the simplest and best time of my life. And when I look back at it now, like the no pressure, I had an absolute focus and understanding of what I had to achieve, and that was become a better fighter.
Yeah.
So that then blossomed and made me become the man I did. So with prison, for you, like you said, it almost silenced you and took away the dangers that you could have had on the outside world, right?
Most definitely. I feel like, even though I'm not here to glorify prison, because if I'm honest, it's the worst place in the world for young men, especially, to go to. I feel like it's a wasted time, and for me, because of what I was involved in, because I was heavily immersed in gang activity and there was murders and shootings. The only reason why I'd say it was a situation I wouldn't change is the fact, like I said already, I could have been dead. Do you understand? So that's the only reason I wouldn't change it, because God knows who I could have been. I could have been UFC world champion, but I was training at Wolfslayer, Mike Bisbin, Rampage Jackson at this time. And I was a prospect. I was defeating other prospects. I had tough fights from my first pro fights, but I feel like if I didn't go to prison, how intense the gang war at the time was, I could potentially have ended up dead, like I said.
So you started at mixed martial arts before prison?
Yeah, so I started mixed martial arts at the age of 18. So my uncle had me started, and to be fair with you, I started it as a bit of self-defense, because I knew I was involved in gang wars, and I wanted to fight, wanted to protect myself and be able to be, a solid member of my team at the time, a part of the gang. So training for me at the age of 18 was more about that, and that's when I started.
I think that's, because how old are you now?
I'm 37.
Yeah, so this is like a while back, nearly 20 years, and you started, and then back then the sport was a completely different place, and like you said, you did it because you wanted to be a strong member of your team, and so you wanted to know how to fight aggressively as well. But now the sport has completely changed in those 20 years,
of course,
and you missed 4 years of that development because of going away or going inside. You think how do you compare those days going to a gym? Like you said, you went to the Wolf Slayer. People don't know the Wolf Slayer. It's a very, very famous gym here in the UK where a lot of prospects or big stars came from, UFC champion Michael Bisping. Then now walking into, say, Manchester top team now, like what's the difference in approach? How would you look at it?
I feel like the gym back then, the energy was different. You know, it was a lot rawer. You know, the kids, we were in there, we were really trying to, we were as happy. I can just talk from my experience. Wolf Slayer was all about having walls, but still developing your skills, but becoming a real fighter and becoming a real man and being tested on a regular day-to-day basis, heavily tested. And for me, I feel like now the game's kind of developed and it's more from a technical standpoint that people are approaching the game from, which is fine, I understand it. But it's just a different energy from when we were younger. It was just more raw and just getting in there and asserting your dominance every day and being tested every day as well. And it was a real challenge, but I loved every second of it.
Do you think that's good for the youth now, or like the way that it's approached now as a sport? Because for me, again, I started around the same time. I started when I was 18. I'm a couple of years younger than you, so you would have been 20 by this time.
Yeah.
So it's like I started when I was 18, and I only people that I don't want to say like really wanted to, but also were a bit messed up, like got involved in martial arts back then. It wasn't like no one was saying, "Oh yeah, I just train at my local MMA gym." It was like no one knew what it was.
Yeah.
It didn't exist. So it was only like.
No one knew who it was. Them times there was no one. When I was saying I was doing MMA, people didn't even know what it was. People used to say, right, you do that UFC. Do you get what I'm saying? People just be like, right, do you do that UFC? It's like, nah, I'm doing MMA. No one had a clue it was, and this is why, like, what am I now? You're talking close to 20 years ago. It's close to 20 years ago, Luke, that I started. And I'm still here, bro. Still here, still competing. All right, you know, my last fight didn't go my way, but you know, I was in there. I nearly destroyed him, and I'm still here at a very high level. Still at the age of 37, still got fighting me now. Still feel like I could go now.
And you think that's what I mean? They feel like the fighters walking in the gym now, like to be able to be 20 years on or 19 years on and still have the fire for that competition and to do that. Do you think that there's the same athletes or same men walking into gyms now to try and be like that? They have the same fire inside them. You're still training at Manchester top team?
Well, I'm mixing up at the moment.
Mixing up. So like, when you walk in, you see the young lads coming in now. The same 18. I mean, 18 now is late to start. I mean,
yeah, of course it is.
It's far off. But you see the young lads coming in. They what's in their eyes compared to back then?
You know what? To be fair with you, and it's not even to take nothing of it. It's selective. I can see in certain people. You know, certain people I can feel energies, and I know that certain fighters mimic similar energies that I had. Remind me of certain energies that I had when I was that age. So I'd still think it's down to the person themselves, the fighters themselves, and the environment that they're being raised in. You know, it's all about the culture that the coach creates as well, the coaching team and the coaching staff, the energy, the type of people that the coaches select. Do you get what I'm saying? You need to make sure you're selecting the right type of fighters to come into your gym, because you could have a great fighter, but he might not bring the right energy to the gym. So I believe that, you know, I look at some of the kids now and I think, you know what, this one's got the potential. And, you know, at Manchester top team, there is a lot of kids in that gym that remind me of myself, and some that even are a bit sharper than what I was, and probably even a little bit more ambitious than what I was. So yeah, there's a balance.
But you think, though, how do you stayed consistent over 20 years to have the hunger to do this? What do you think that is inside you?
I just think it's down to your personality type, down to your environment that you were raised in, down to your circumstance. You know, I always feel like I've had a chip on my shoulder because I had no dad. You know, I had no father in my household. So for me, it was always trying to prove to other people's dad that I was good, trying to get appreciation and respect of other people's fathers, because I never had a father. Do you know what I'm saying? So for me, it was kind of like I always had a point to prove. And I feel like even to this day, I've still got a point to prove. I still feel like I would have shown my dad, like, you messed up with this one. Do you get what I'm saying? You turned your back on something special. And to be fair with you, that's partly my motivation, man. Everyone says they've got certain motivations, but for me, people do it for like the haters, and they say the naysayers and this and that. I'm not really bothered about them, because they're going to say that anyway. Do you understand? They say it about everybody, but for me, it's about my father that wasn't there. Because there's a reason he turned his back on me, and now what I do is every time I speak about him, I just say, don't don't allow him to take any form of accolade or let him to get any form of appreciation off my name. I take it, strip it completely away from him.
But when did you, I mean, that's a big understanding. When did you realize that? Like, obviously at 20 years old, you had that in you.
I've always believed that I was different from being a very young boy. You know, I always believed I had different energy to everybody else. If you look back in my school pictures, you see everyone's taking pictures and I'm doing something mad. So it's shown me, when I look back, I think, like, I have to question myself and say, why are you like this sometimes? Why have you got this drive? Why is your personality sometimes seen as a little bit overbearing for certain people? In certain realms, it's great. It's motivation, it's energy. And I look back and I flip back through pictures sometimes and I see pictures of me just acting the class clown, but I always had this different type of energy. So from the ages of 13, 14, and I was confident and I was sure that I was going to achieve some good things.
But you knew, like, when did you, because obviously you retrospectively look back, you just said looking back at pictures of yourself, senior or class count, when did you know that the motivation within you, you worked out that? I mean, that's a great self-awareness to understand yourself at such a deep level, that you are performing at such a high level and pushing yourself so hard because of the lack of your father back in the day. At what age did you think you realized that this is why I'm like this?
I feel like I've always been aware from when I started to, like I said to you, when I was yearning for other men's support and approval. You know, we'd be at football and I'd do something and I'd be looking at my friend's dad like, yes, mate, did you see my goal? And I'm trying to get his approval and I'm always trying to see that. So I think from then I couldn't identify it as specifically as I can now. But back then I knew, like, I'm working because, you know, I'm the only one in my household. I'm the one who's going to do it for my mum as well. My mum's been major motivation as well. Don't get it twisted. That's a separate type of motivation that I've got. But, you know, this drive that I've got is definitely from the absence of my father. And
obviously, I mean, you can't ignore the fact that you've now got 3 sons of your own, right? So
ironic, eh?
So you're now having the 3 sons. Like, it's an obvious question. That's what I got to ask is, like, they're now young boys or going to become young men, and how does that motivate you as a father now? How do you see that? And what sort of imprint do you want to leave on them? Because however you want to look at it, the lack of your father, as terrible as that is imprinted you, and you've turned it into a positive thing. Right?
Yeah, of course.
He left an imprint on you that has lasted a lifetime and made you the man that you've become. So now you have your sons. I don't know if you ever think about the sort of motivation that you can give them, or how you're going to do that.
So for me, it's like, I look at it like this, that is secondary wave of energy now. So that's my secondary wave. So I've been blessed, you know, and I do say alhamdulillah to God. I always say, but I'll say I'm blessed. I got blessed written on my hand when I was in prison because I believed it. And, you know, life gets hard, life gets tough, life gets challenging. We get hit with adversity as we go on, and sometimes it can try and take the wind out of you. But you've got to have that fire in you, that grit. And then I get hit with 3 kids now. So then I get hit with 3 boys, same age, same year. I got 3 boys the year I turned 33. Do you get what I'm saying? And I've always said I'm blessed, so people can. I believe I'm blessed, and I say that. And whether my blessing has come for me to be a father for my children, I use this now as like, okay, Kane, you know exactly what it's like to not have a father. Do you get me? I know exactly what it's like. So nobody in the world can tell me how my boys are feeling, because I know that they're feeling a million times better than what I did, because I'm with them all the time. And don't get me wrong, it's challenging, bro. I'm very, I'm very focused. I'm very hard working. You know yourself as a father. Sometimes, a man with a purpose, is sometimes he has to be selfish, and it's not always. Doesn't always morally feel the best, but deep down the reason you're working is for your children, right? For your family, for your next generation. And I feel like as long as I keep working, keep pushing, keep persevering, and demonstrating through action, showing them love when I'm around them, teaching them to be respectful, honor, togetherness. My boys have been taught how to share with each other from a very young age. I teach them to share with each other. I teach them to love each other. And I show them that no matter what happens in the world, no matter where the world goes, them three will always have them three. No matter if I'm not here, if their mums are not here, them three will always have each other. And, you know, you got a brother. I didn't have no brother. So when I was young, I always wanted a brother. I was thinking, love to have a brother to back me up sometimes. You know, and sometimes when it'll get stuck on me by some of the kids on where we grew up, and I'd think, I ain't got no brother or whatever. But these three, I've got three of them now. Do you get what I'm saying? So whoever tries to interfere with one or the other, they're gonna have problems, man. So
I mean, I got two brothers. I got an older brother and a younger brother, and I growing up, we weren't that close.
Okay.
And there's 2 years. I'm 22 months from my older brother and like 2.5 from my younger, and like I never had that. Same. It's almost like. Obviously, sometimes it feels even lonelier when you're getting bullied or something's happening to you and your brother ain't even there to help you even when you got one.
It's like abandonment then.
Yeah, so me and my brothers are close. Like, me and my older brother are super close now as well. But it's like in those moments in time, because you think, I mean, I'm a big dude. My brothers are both big dudes. Well, us growing up in school, we could have ran that place. If we had the maybe the father figure to push us that way. And that way, my dad's soft man, so it's very, very different. But I'm saying, like, I got 2 daughters, 2 girls. So it's like, for me, I have to sit here and think about what it is that a father needs to provide. You gave an amazing talk about what you want your kids to have. And it's like, how you demonstrate to them, I believe, and this is something that from my belief system, is like, sometimes you can't be around as much as you want to be around because you're out conquering the world. But if you think about what we're supposed to do as men, is like, as long as your sons can look up to you and be like, that's my dad, you always have that connection forever. It doesn't matter if you're there feeding them or taking them to the park or that is not what a father does. A father doesn't do the day-to-day stuff. The father guides and the father shows what is possible. And I believe you, a man who's, like I said, come from prison and done what he's done and come through and now for the highest level of mixed martial arts and gone out to start businesses, your sons can always look up to you as a father and be like, okay, dad faced adversity head on and came through it.
Of course.
So that is like how you show. Demonstrate. But what to you, like, I had a great dad growing up. For you, as someone who grew up without a father, what do you believe your job is as a dad?
For me, like I said to you, look, I do believe that, you know, men are definitely supposed to be out in the field and leading by example and working to bring back home, right? So if you look at historically, Vikings in history, men of war, men of conquest, they used to leave home, go and conquer. And that's natural, right? I understand that. Now I understand that as a man, what I need to make sure that I'm aware and what I'm trying to do, because look, being a father is great and it's amazing, but when you're on the path that we're on, it's sometimes challenging. And the reason why the challenges come to me is because, like you said, is that absence and time that I'm not with them, sometimes the guilt does come to me. You understand? And I'm not going to sit here and make out like it doesn't, because for me personally, it might be because I've had an absent father. For me personally, I am working so hard so that I can get to a certain level of financial security, accomplishment. And I've got a target in my head. I've got a monetary target and I've got an accolade target. I know exactly what I want to achieve. And the reason why I'm working to that is so that when I get to that point and I can have a team around me of people who can work with me and with my businesses, and I can spend more time then with my boys and try and put back into them. And obviously as we grow, me and my boys together collectively, as they get older and start to understand more, I'll communicate with them. I'll communicate and explain to them the reason why I'm not there and what it is that I'm actually doing and the reasons that I'm doing it. So then at least they have the understanding. So if ever they're with friends and their friends' dads might be with them all the time and I might miss a football game or I might miss something, they understand the reason why dad's not here. They don't have to sit there and feel, oh, why is my dad not here? No, I know dad's not here because dad's going to conquer the world because he wants to come back to us and enable us to live a better existence. And for me, definitely knowledge is something that I'm trying to be better at myself, educating myself on a regular basis to learn more about many things, history, economics, all these type of things I'm trying to learn. The reason why I'm learning them is because I want to be able to pass it on to them. I want them to come to me and that be a joyful space, an environment of education. Do you get? Because it's our position as men to be able to support our younger generation, whether it's girls or boys, because I believe that girls also are very, very important to society and to men's mental health as well. You know, if you raise a woman with the right understanding, when she becomes a woman and she's with a man, she's going to support that man correctly. And that's then in turn going to help him be able to go out and do more. And then he can come back, and then society as a whole will be rising together collectively in a better way. So I feel like parents are very important. Mother and father do have different roles to, and everyone's circumstance is different as well. But I feel as a father, you know, our role is to show strength. And I read something, and it was about a father shows love to his daughter in a different way to what is to their mum will, and he loves her in a way where she knows she's safe and she's protected, but still, if his girl's hurting, he'll still, you know, console her, but he'll give her the little tougher way of doing it. So then maybe when she gets older and she gets that type of love off a man, she understands how a man loves differently. Do you get what I mean? So yeah, man, it's an exciting time, man, and parents are very important, man.
I think we kind of skipped over it, so I'll go back to it because some people will be watching. Obviously, I know, and a lot of people will know, but some people watching. You said that you got 3 sons, all born in the same year. Right?
Yeah.
So we can't just skip over that.
I didn't skip it. Listen, you know me. I'm here with you, our kids. So from when I'm here with you, anything you want to know, just ask me, man.
I'm just saying. So, like, obviously, that situation. Let's talk about it. 3 sons.
Yeah.
All born in the same year.
Yeah.
I know it's different mothers, but you want to explain how it all comes.
Yeah. So to be honest with you, I was single, and the twins, Kyan and Kyle, I met their mother, and she ended up becoming pregnant. We wasn't officially together. She got pregnant, and she went for a scan, and it was twins, and it was, you know, sometimes, you know, you get situations happen where people get pregnant from time to time. It's happened in the past before. She wasn't the first, and it wasn't the right time for the girl, and the circumstance wasn't right. This situation happened, and, you know, she had twins, and it was more about, well, now I was at a stage in my life, I was a bit more mature, and I spoke to my mum about it, and my mum just said to me, look, son, you know, the twins, children are a blessing anyway. You know, you've got twins. Well, you know, we're gonna have to ride this one out. We're gonna have to support this situation, and that's what I did. As a man, I was single at the time, and then obviously the situation with the twins' mum didn't go anywhere. But obviously she's pregnant, so I'm keeping contact with her, making sure she's all right. You know, visiting the hospital with her for her scans, making sure everything was okay. One of the twins at one point was a bit touch and go with one of the twins, so I was feeling it at that point. But in the midst of that, I actually met my son Akira, his mum, and, you know, when we started getting close and we were actually got into a relationship, I made her aware of the situation with the twins mum. Before we got into a relationship, when we started getting feelings towards each other, I made her aware of that situation, and she went away and thought about it and come back to me and said, look, I appreciate you letting me know. I respect it, and I can deal with it, and we'll work to kind of get through it together and support the situation as best as we can. And then, lo and behold, 4 months later, she got pregnant. You know what I mean? She come to me and she said, yeah, man, I'm having a baby. And obviously I was in a relationship with her, and it was like, right, well, you know, we're in a relationship, we're in a loving relationship, so let's go, let's get to it.
So obviously bit messy, we don't talk about the rest of it, but then, like, wind forward now that the boys are 4 years old, how that dynamic now where you've got 3 sons, 2 mum, like, it must be...
It can, you know, it is. Situations can become complicated if there isn't, like, a clear and concise understanding and respect kept, you know, and, you know, balancing women's emotions, and sometimes, you know, people have got thought processes towards the situation, not even in your relationship, outside sources. People can try and throw 2 pences in, and but we've got it under control, and it's a good understanding, and it's a lot of respect, and It works well, man. I see my kids as much as I can. My kids are together as much as I can. Like, my dad never brought me around. Look, I've got 6 brothers and sisters on my dad's side, and I only met 2 of my sisters about 3 years ago. I met my little brother Jacob, who's in London. I met him about 10 years ago. I had to go down to London. His mum messaged me on Facebook. I don't really know any of my siblings except for Jacob, like on my dad's side. They didn't bring us together, you know. There's a time when my dad must have took me to the hospital to see his mum while she was dying, and he was just going on with himself, and I was actually angry inside me because he was taking me to see his mum who was dying, but I didn't have a relationship with her, and that was his fault. So when he was upset, I was upset for him, but at the same time, I wasn't really truly upset about the situation, and that frustrated me. So I refuse now to have that situation occur with my boys. So I have them all together. They all go to nanas. They all see the aunties. They all see my sister. They all see the cousins. They know they've got a big family. We've got a very big family. So I keep them all around each other as much as I can. And, you know, I do the best job I can, Luke.
So trying to mend that disconnect, because I mean, it just sounds like a complicated situation, but like you said, doing the best you can. And I think now,
whilst being a profile,
that's what I'm saying.
Whilst running one of the most known brands in the UK, you know, and whilst trying my hardest to work on my own self-development, it's a challenging situation. But we always say God gives his toughest challenges to his strongest soldiers, so I embrace that aspect as well.
Yeah. And then so you talk about your MMA career, obviously. You were saying before prison you were in one of the biggest gyms you could have in Manchester, around all these people that become legends, and then you come out and obviously you're like raw coming out, you know what I mean? And then you find your way into an MMA gym. How did that journey start? Where did you start? Let's say that's officially when you started training, when you come out. Like, where were you training then? What were the people that were around you, and who inspired you to become who you are? So
what happened was I was training pro. I had 2 pro contests. I went to Wolseley, then I got into the Ultimate Fighter. Mm-hmm. Went to the Ultimate Fighter trial, got turned down because I didn't have enough fights. And then they told me to come back, and then when I had more fights, so they wanted 3 fights minimum, yeah, you know, innit? Mm-hmm. 3 fights minimum. So I went back, won a fight in Liverpool. That was my second pro that I won, and I was just needed one more, then I was going to go to the show. But I was under operation at the time by the police, so I got arrested for firearms. 3 days after my pro debut, I went to prison, stayed focused in jail. You know, but before I went to jail, I was training with Rampage Jackson, Mike Bisbin, Paul Kelly, you know, at the Wolseley with some of the best fighters in the world. And that within itself, just being around the energy was enough motivation for me to know. And I was competing with other fighters in there, and I was doing really well in the gym on a regular basis. So that environment was enough for me to keep going. When I went to prison, I was like, nah, I know where I'm going to get when I get out. And not once did I falter with my belief system. I knew that I'd get out and continue. And then obviously when I came out, started with Jimmy Warled, Andre Winner, Rough House, did a bit up there because I was at Mansfield Pure Gym, and it wasn't far from the prison that I was staying at. So I used to go to their gym, carried on training with them, and then come back to Manchester, linked up with Brendan, and then everything else from there with my Uncle Anthony, and we just worked hard. And then obviously with Carl, and then to Manchester top team, and the rest is history, man.
Because then it's been, how many fights you had now?
What am I now, 12 and 5? So it's been 17 pro fights, yeah.
Yeah, so it's, 17 pro fights over a long time, you know, like I said, with all the other things that you have going on. And I know, I always say, like fighting, you can have your highest highs and your lowest lows. Like some of the losses I've had in my life have been devastating in the moment and heartbreaking in the time. And obviously, coming up your last fight, with everything that happened to you with Bellator, and then what is your mindset now with the fighting game? How do you feel, you know, with the Bellator thing happening now? PFL have bought Bellator, and it's all like moving around like under your feet, like you can't control it. Yeah. Obviously, you know, it's a young man's sport, and you're getting on a bit. So it's like, well, where are your motivations now when it comes to fighting? Well,
when it comes, to be fair with you, bro, I'm still ready to go. Like, but the reality is what we have to work with. I've got my brand that needs me right now to focus on it. There's a lot of amazing things happening with BADR at the moment. There's a lot of amazing opportunities that are on the table for us. I've developed an amazing team, and my focus is on BADR at the moment, Luke. It's like, for me, it's the brand is going to be, you know, it's got the potential to be, you know, one of the biggest brands to ever come out of the UK, and the amount of opportunities that are on the table for us right now, it's a no-brainer that my focus has to stay with the brand. So, you know, I balanced it well throughout my career, but now it's time to put some focus in on the brand and take the brand. Obviously, we just launched the kids collection. Well, we're launching the kids collection. So with fighting itself, I'm setting probably next year, April. You know, I'm in conversations with a few promotions, some major promotions. I'm in conversations, MMA and boxing. You know, I was just on the phone to Darren Till then. Darren Till saying, listen, tell that Misfits Boxing we'll get on there. So, you know, there's a lot of opportunities on the table, and for me, I just have to make sure I make the right decision. You know, I don't want to put myself in a fight just to fight. And when I fight to win. Do you know what I'm saying? My last fight, I got caught cold. Well, I got caught. Yeah, second round, I was just finding my groove. You know, Thibault Gotti, you know, he was in the UFC, putting a lot of pressure on a lot of fighters. No one ever made him take a back step. No one. I watched all his fights. I watched him fight Oban Mercy, Nasrat, all of them. No one put him on his back foot. He was always a front foot fighter. And I think in that fight, I put so much emphasis in my mind about being able to break that part of his game that once I did it, that was the fight won. So I went into autopilot and just glided and was having so much fun, and he caught me. And that's where, for me, it's like, okay, well, I didn't get out. I didn't get beat up. I got caught. It's a difference. If I got beat up where I'm like, oh, I'm broken and he's beating me and he's hitting me and I'm going down, I'm thinking, wow, I don't want no more of this. That's when the fight's been beaten out of you, but the fight didn't get beat out of me. He poked me in my eye second round and started apologising. That's when I knew again. I thought, you fucking scared, bro. I thought, you scared. And I was so infuriated that he poked me. I was like, don't say so. No, that he said sorry. I'm like, bro, no, you're not saying sorry. But that's where my downfall, my experience should have came in, because I should have stayed composed at that point, because I knew I was teeped him to the gut. I had him weakened. I kicked him again. You watch that fight back. I kicked him twice in his gut, and he winced. And as I've gone in, I thought, right, I've got you now. So I opened up, squared up, and he caught me on the way in. So after I finished that fight, it's like, well, I look back and I reflect and I think, you didn't get beaten up, you got caught. And for me, caught's not enough for me to quit. For me to quit is when I know I'm in there and I'm like, I don't want to be in here no more. And I was having so much fun in that fight, bro. Luke, I was having so much fun that when I got beat, I got back to the changing room thinking, you knobhead. You took it for granted. You was just playing it. Because once he did that poke mistake, I thought, knobhead, I was like, I'm going to murder this kid. I'm going to destroy you. And it was like, nah, you got caught. And that's another level of experience that I learned from that fight. But in terms of the fight within me, fight is still strong, bro.
That exact same thing happened to me against the fighter called Jorge Gonzalez, where I was piecing him up all over the place, had no problem, and couldn't miss. But tough Mexican kid just took these shots. And then I faded off to one side and he threw a right hook and I blocked it, but he threw like a double right hook and he just clipped me. And I was at the end of the fight. And I was like, how'd that even happen? So I know exactly what
you know that feeling.
Because I was in complete control of the fight.
So then it don't feel like a loss when you come out of there. It's like I come out and I was kind of like, in my head, because remember, we all go through mental battles, don't care what any fighter says. You go through a mental battle, everyone's battle's different, My battle in that fight was, I am fighting a man who I have not seen anybody break. And I like to stand in the pocket and go for it. So in my head, I'm thinking, you got yourself there. This is going to be the one, where you're really going to get challenged to see who's got the fucking cojones. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Who's got the balls? Who's the one who's really got it inside of them? Who's got that dog? Who's got that lion? Who has got it? And it was me. But it wasn't about the lion. It's not about the lion all the time. You have to know sometimes at this level, it's not just about the lion, and I made it about the lion. And because I made it that.
But so maybe you won your own internal mental battle, but that doesn't mean you won the fight.
Exactly.
You were focusing on the wrong thing, not wanting the outcome. And that's the thing about like the greatest fighters of all time, is they always find a way somehow to get that. They always have the win in the fight at the top of their mind.
Yes, exactly.
So it's a tough thing to deal with. But I think you scoped over it a little bit on talking about fighting future, and you were talking about BADR so much. And I mean, I know thousands of fighters, and I've done every job in MMA you could think of, from being a promoter to commentating to being a referee to actually being a fighter and competing. I've been to thousands of events, thousands of fighters, and the thing I find interesting is not many of them can like take the integrity, the honor, the discipline, all of the hardships and the hard stuff we put in the gym, that not many people can transfer that outside. So for you to do that and then start a business like you have, what do you think motivated you to come up with BADR? Where did BADR start? What was the thought process behind it? And how have you again been consistent with that? I said you're 6 years in. 6 years in building a business is hard bloody work. So how have you managed to keep that up? And why do you think you went that way?
Well, the main thing was, I was approached by my now then no longer business partner, Carl. He had started, he was the one who created Gym King. He came up to me and he said to me, look, let's start a brand up. We had a sit down, had a brainstorming meeting, and we was talking about everything about life, and BADR was the word that came up, and it just clicked at the time. It was being a bad man and what I represent, and being a tough guy, and that persona of never backing down and always standing strong and being resilient. And the word came around and we just locked it in. From there we made sure the name was available, everything was available, and we took it. And from there it was just kind of bringing my ethos of my mentality in the fight game. The fight game really played a big role in it, because we had all the fighters wearing BADR at the time, and it was just a brand that represented it. And it was, for me, was always been about impacting people's lives for the better, and this business that I'd created allowed me to do that. So not only am I making money, not only am I building something, I'm actually being able to impact people's lives, because the brand is about being a dangerous rival. It's about competitive spirit. So when people are wearing BADR because they've seen other top fighters wearing it, and all the fighters are wearing it, and it looks good and this and that, people are wearing them clothes and they're like, yeah, I'm a bad man now. I've had people come up to me, I've had guys come up to me and say, bro, when I put a BADR tracksuit on, I'm not even a fighter, bro, but when I put a BADR tracksuit on, I'm like in the mirror, like, yeah, who wants it today? Do you know what I'm saying? So it's, what I'm saying to you is, though, for me, that's what it's about. Yeah. Because that's when you create something more than just clothing. That's when you create a brand, that's when you create a movement, and that's what BADR represents, and that's what's been able to give me that, even though it's been tough at times, if the brand represents being a dangerous rival and never stopping, never quitting, then how can I stop and quit? Do you get what I'm saying? I'd be a hypocrite. So for me, we've been through so many ups and downs, and, it's just been an amazing journey, and we've impacted so many people's lives. So many people have wore BADR, and they still want to wear BADR, and I built when I say I've got an amazing team now, you know how it goes sometimes through business and relationships and people and communication, and now I've got such a solid team. Everyone knows the position, everyone's in place. We've got some big things coming next year, especially for the men's. This year we're launching the kids collection. So with the kids collection, what we did was, once again, about impacting, yeah? Right? So let's talk about how we lead through action. Okay, so words are one thing, and then the actions back it, yeah? So with the kids collection, it was always about, I've always said the BADR give back scheme. Something I've always said from the beginning, the give back, the give back, the give back, the give back. And I've done bits going to schools and talking to kids and giving a bit of motivation here, but I've always wanted to do more. And we're in a position now where we did the pop-up store in Trafford Centre, and it was amazing sellout. We sold virtually everything that we had there. But what we did was we did auditions for the kids collection. So I had kids coming in to audition to be models, and the parents brought them down. It was when I say an amazing community situation where everyone come down with the kids, and the kids were modeling. And what happened was, I said to the team after we did 2 weeks there, I said to the team after, I said, look, I can't choose 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 kids. I said, for one, they're all 6 superstars. But for 2, how can we be the community brand for the people? And the first opportunity these kids get to be something, we turn them down. I don't care if I choose 5. I'm choosing them all. So on the day when I was supposed to announce 5 winners, all the parents are nervous, everyone's scared, everyone's nervous. I just said, listen, BADR's about the people. And I said, what we're going to do on this one is we're going to Choose Yours All, and they all came up on stage. And then it took us a bit of time logistically to get everything in place, but then we did the campaign the other day, and I got 30 kids down, right? Logistically, me and the team put it together, and it was mayhem, but we organized it with 30 kids on a day. We shot them, each kid had their own individual shots, taking videos, we did interviews with them, we spoke with them, they were hitting pads on the shoot. Oh, Luke, honestly, listen, bro, it was amazing. And for me, that's who I am. Do you get what I'm saying? And this is where I find my purpose in things like giving back to people. Do you get me? And if I can inspire these kids to be something, then I'm doing more for them than what my dad did for me. Because I know being young, wanting a purpose and trying to search for something, and there's nothing there sometimes, it feels like you feel lost. So now we've done the campaign, we're going in photo signing with it, and this will be out after the launch on Sunday. So we've partnered up with Nerf, the Nerf Experience, which is like a kids place where they go and do all gaming. They do like gel gun shooting and all different games, and we partnered up with them officially, and we're going to launch with our kids collection. We did a sick campaign video. You can probably, we'll repost it up or something, but yeah, we're going to push that kids collection through, and then next year we're launching the new phase, the new look of BADR. It's been an amazing journey. I've got a new creative director on board. He's come, and me and him have sat down. We spoke historically about what BADR represents and what BADR means, but we understand that fashion moves forward, and people that have historically been with BADR have gone through a journey of growth in terms of their style and fashion, and people are necessarily moving on. So what we're doing now is trying to make sure that we can tap into all our historical supporters, clientele, whatever you want to call them, and give them something that kind of shows them that we're moving with them. So we're going to be doing exclusive collections, premium quality now, at a slightly higher price point, but the ethos of being a dangerous rival and quality garments are always going to be there. And you know, we're creating a movement, man, and the movement still continues. So, and
you think, talking about creative directors, campaigns, creating movements, all this sort of stuff, yeah, any of these thoughts come into your head when you're back in the prison?
Nah, this is what, and this is why, you know, Luke, this is why I'm saying, you know, you have to count your blessings, man. You know, you have to actually be grateful, but you always have to believe. And that's why I always tell everybody, make sure that you always believe in yourself. And even when me and you had a conversation, bro, me and you sat down, it was in Abu Dhabi, and we had a conversation, and you were saying to me, you were just being real with me, and I loved it. You were just saying like, bro, I don't know what I'm a fighter, but am I a fighter now? And I just sat with you, and I always message every time I see you do something that elevates your status or your progression. I always give you a message and say, yo, bro, because I remember that conversation, and I actually felt it for you in that conversation, because I was like, this guy's searching now. This guy's really searching. But I said to you, I said, bro, you're going to do it. Whatever it is that you want to do, bro, I can tell what type of character you are. You're going to do it. And how many, that was when Lerone made his debut, yeah?
Probably 3 or 4 years ago now. It's a while ago. Yeah. So it's and look, time moves quick, bro.
I know, but you move with it, though. You get what I'm saying to you? You was aware that time moves fast, and that's where we always have to be, especially when we're trying to be better. We have to be ready to keep moving and be ready to adapt and be ready to move forward. So, you know, it's kind of where I'm at now as a person. Fighting is always in me, and I've still got fight in me, and I will compete next year. So for everyone for everyone who's been asking me, because I'm sick of everyone asking me, right, I will be fighting next year, and we will have a scrap, but it's going to be at the right time, man. And even bare knuckle, Lou, get in there and just have a little tear up. Do you know what I mean? I love fighting, man, and it's always going to be in me, but I will never be a journeyman. I will never be a fighter who just fights just because. No, I will be always, if I sign a contract, believe me, best believe I'm putting a camp in, and I'm going in there to take him out.
But so I mean, amazing story, like saying that the transformation of yourself from being in prison, going to fight and learning these things, but you've obviously always had something internal that's made you want to, you were talking about giving back to the youth and all these things, and we spoke about your father already, but what do you think gave you like the entrepreneurial spirit to take on such a big challenge as producing a clothing brand? You said it's the craziest competitive thing in the world right now. So it's like trying to produce something that can keep up with the competition is like, that takes a real entrepreneurial spirit.
Of course.
So when do you think you manifested that, or how do you think you built that?
If I'm honest with you, I know exactly what you're trying. What I just believe it is to be is my belief system. My belief is that I am going to do great things. So because my belief is so strong within myself, my belief in myself, even when things don't go right within the business, or I don't ever lose belief. I never lose belief ever, because I think once you lose belief, bro, everything can fall apart around you. Belief for me is the foundation. For me, my belief system is my foundation. Whether it's going to be, I know with BADR, but whether it's going to be anything, whatever it is that I'm going to do, I'm going to be successful. And I will not accept any other outcome.
But how do you think that's installed in you? When was that installed? Why was it installed? Like I feel exactly the same thing, and I can talk about it, but when do you think that, why are you like that? What built you that way? Yeah, for the other young kids listening who want to achieve something, they think I want to be great. What mechanism was it in you that made you think like I'm gonna do this?
If I'm honest, I think like when you are someone that's around other competitive people, other young boys, especially in school, you know, I always knew that I was, like I said, I was a bit lively. I had this thing in me. And the only thing that I can put it down to is that, like I said to you, is the fact that I've always wanted to be something. I've always wanted to be somebody. So for me, it's believing that you're going to be somebody. I've always believed that, because I just look at it like, if he can do it, then I can do it. And if he can do it, then he's only human, bro. He's only human. So if he's only human, and I can implement a similar strategy or the same strategy, or I can pull something from what he's done, then it's inevitable that something's gonna come. And I said an analogy years ago. I said, look, if the stars are flying up and we're aiming for the stars, bro, yeah, I need to be a star that flies. And if my target is all the way up here and I get halfway, but I believe I can get there, even if in the end I only get halfway is so further than from where I started. Do you get what I'm saying, bro?
I think the generic version of it is if you aim for the moon, you'll hit the stars, or something
along them lines, bro. And it's that, man. We have to believe in ourselves, and we have to be better, man. We've got next generations to impact, and whether you have children or not, there's gonna be younger people around you, and as human beings, our purpose on this earth is to pass on knowledge.
I mean, I'm surrounded by winners, is how I describe it, and every winner that I meet, and every person, everyone I have on the podcast is a winner, doing well. So I'm, but every time I have that conversation and I talk to them, that you see the same thing, like you're saying, they're only human. Okay, I had a guy on the podcast maybe last month. He's got a 10-figure business, 10 figures, bro.
Wow.
And I was chatting to him.
Impressive.
He's just some dude from Derby who just kept going, kept working, kept doing, kept pushing, like he said, believing he was going to do it and all these sort of things. So I think having these concepts in your brain, or there's nothing special about all these people that you're looking up to, apart from the fact that they never stopped and they never finished and they kept pushing and they kept going. So I believe it's inevitable that you're going to achieve what you want to achieve with whatever it's going to be, as long as you are a dangerous rival and you keep pushing forward, and then there's no way that you cannot achieve what you're going to achieve. So I believe that about myself. I believe about the people that I see. And I think we had that conversation in Abu Dhabi. The only reason I even had that conversation with you is because I can sense we have that connection and we understand each other. And the only reason I sense and understand that is because of energy or something you want to explain, unexplainable force. But the more winners I meet, the more I realize it's possible. And you said that you have like a financial goal in mind, that you'll be able to support your family or your generations to come. And my only advice would be like, add a zero onto whatever that is, because the more zeros you add, the more likely you are you're going to, like you just said, if you're aiming here, let's aim here, and you're going to get.
Yo, believe it, that number's a high number.
Yeah, I know
that number's a high number, boy.
Let's push it and make it.
And that's why now I'm into to other projects as well. Like I was speaking to you earlier about what we're doing now in the crypto space, and obviously, you know yourself, I work with Mike Hales and the guys at D-Hub, and they're a very, very special team in understanding that actual space. And we're working on a new meme coin at the moment, which is kind of going to give utility and charity, and it's a meme coin, and it's about a bomb shelter called Shelter Inu. It's an amazing idea created by one of the founders, Mal, and our aim is to build community bomb shelters, bro. And that's what we're working towards, and we actually have got agreements with like some of the top bomb shelter builders in the world, that if we hit our goals and our targets, that we're actually going to be doing that. And that's something that's a project that's going to launch very soon. So it's something that I'm very passionate about, because at the end of the day, I believe, the world's going in a crazy way, bro. And, I'm not a specialist in the area of everything that's happening, but I'm keeping myself in tune, man. I'm not being too far away from what's going on. And for me, this project that we're working on, it's an amazing project, bro. And it's got a lot of people interested, a lot of people excited.
I mean, I think right now with the state of the world and what's going on, war seems to be inevitable in any part of the world. Whatever it's going to be, where there's always another war popping up and
it's
something happening, and we could go deep down the rabbit hole.
Yeah, but we don't need to go that deep
right now. But I'm saying, so if there's anyone out there trying to create utility for something that's going to, create bomb shelters and look after and save people's lives, then it can only be a good thing. You know
what I'm saying? And this is where, for me, it's like, look, when the proposal was put forward to me for the project, and for obviously there's other projects as well that we're working on in this space, but this, for me, this project itself, you already know how the crypto space goes. You already know if certain projects take off. You already been aware. You've understood it. I've learned from you, to be fair.
I think I'm the first one to talk.
Yeah, actually, you was the person who actually put me in and made me aware, and that's kind of where my intrigue built for it, came from for it. And you already know yourself, on certain projects get certain amount of legs and a lot of people get involved. The sky's the limit with them type of situations.
Well, when it comes to crypto now, like if you talk about the cycles of crypto, you're in the right position now to be launching a project, because the next cycle's coming up. And I think what people maybe listen, if you don't have any understanding of the crypto space, you need to get an understanding. They just released the digital euro. That's one of the things that they're going to be pushing on us soon. And digital euro, they're going to tell you that you can get the digital euro, invest in the digital euro. You're still going to be able to have cash, but get the digital euro. They're lying to you. Okay. Anything that's a CBDC that's backed by the government, you don't get involved with, because that's how they're going to control us in the future. Again, don't want to go down the rabbit hole, but I'm saying, like, so if the government now are launching, CBDCs, which is basically cryptocurrencies that are backed by the banks, then the only way the world is moving is towards crypto. 100%. I'm saying that's where it's going. So if you have no knowledge of crypto now, then you're going to have it in 100%. The next coming years, because it's going to be the only way you're going to be out. Fiat is going to die. It is on the way out. It is going to happen. And cryptocurrency is going to be the only type of currency left. So if you have no understanding of it, I strongly advise you that you understand yourself and educate yourself. I mean, I've been in the game a little while. I'm not,
no, you good.
Guy, but
you good.
I've done all right over the last cycle, and this cycle I think will get me where I need to be. But I think the people that are missing out on it it's a crazy world out there, and I think there's a lot that can be learned. And any projects that are helping communities as well and helping people.
That's the main thing for me. The fact for me is this is kind of like, if you think about everything that I've said throughout the podcast, then it just ties right back in.
Yeah.
It's a community bomb shelter project to build for the communities, to help save people's lives potentially, if that's where the world ends up being.
And it's getting closer and closer. I mean, you look at what's going on now in Israel and everything that's happening, but then it was before that was Ukraine, and you would think I've been to the Ukraine many, many, many times. I know people from there, and it's in your real life. It's
because we was in Poland. We was in Poland together when we were commentating, and there was shows of like we could have been over there, and then look what happened to it.
So it's getting closer and closer to us, and I feel like the more knowledge you have on that subject and everything going on, and it's going to happen in Africa, it's going to keep growing. So I think I believe there'll definitely be utility for that project. So I think that's great as well. And our
motto with that is, we're not scared, we're prepared.
When they say,
You like that one?
Yeah, what they said, some of my friend said this to me recently. He said, you're only paranoid until you're right. So people can say you're paranoid, and then when you're right, everyone's
I wish I would have listened. And so, I've learned them lessons, Luke. I've learned them lessons in many different situations and scenarios. So I'm like I said, I'm trying to stay ahead of the curve, and it doesn't matter whether it's with fashion, whether it's with crypto, whether it's with economics, whether it's history. History gives us an understanding of where we come from, so it kind of keeps you where we're going.
They say history repeats itself, right? Exactly. So I think understanding that is great. I get asked this question a lot, and I wanted to you've been talking about it quite a lot, so it made me
hit me with it.
I literally got asked it today again, and it's like, if you could go back in time and speak to yourself when you're a 14-year-old boy, like what would be because obviously you're talking about community and looking after people, what would you tell yourself at 14? Like what would be the, and it could be general, like if you're going to go back now, I know you deal with a lot I meet a lot of kids and talk to a lot of kids, especially in the MMA space, but if you could go back to yourself when you're 14 years old, what would be the advice that you could give yourself?
Don't worry as much about what everybody else is thinking, because once you become an adult, what everybody else used to think doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. When you make decisions as a young man or a young girl and you do things, peer pressure puts you in situations and you think everyone's going to be thinking something, and then it makes you act in a certain way. But as you get older, no one even cares about what you did when you was 14, 15. No one's interested. So I'd say to Kane, just don't worry as much as about what everyone thinks of you and what everyone's gonna say about you when you do certain things. Just focus on yourself and believe in yourself the same way you did.
I think if you take this forward now to us right now, so that at 14 is golden advice, but even right now as we stand here is like, we're going to die one day.
Of course.
And when we die, people are going to come to our funeral and they're going to cry and they're going to say, oh, Kane was the man, loved Kane, he was a great guy. And then as soon as they get in their car and the phone rings and they got to pay the bills, so they forget you even existed.
Done.
So if you're judging what you do in your life off of the opinions of others, those people are going to forget you. Even your brothers, even your closest friends, they are going to forget you the moment you are gone. So you need to live your life for you and make the decision. Like I always talk about taking my own path. And I actually believe if I went back in time and I spoke to myself at 14, I would say what everyone else is doing, do the opposite.
Yeah.
Because I think if you do the opposite from everyone else, you're always going to be hit home.
Hit home, yeah.
Like that's always going to be better than what everyone else is doing. Because I think, being a sheep and following everyone else and listening to everyone else's advice is never going to get you anywhere. You got to find yourself, and the best way to find yourself is to push into the unknown and test yourself.
100%.
And I think we understand that as MMA fighters and people that put themselves through hardship every single day and push themselves through pain. I think if you're young and you haven't put yourself through pain, like that's everyone you look up to in the world, anyone that you look up to and think this guy's great, I want to be like him, he has had to go through hardship to get there. Of course, yes. So if you're avoiding tough situations, we spoke about it, if you're avoiding like hardship, if you're avoiding going through those tough days, you're never going to get any better and you're never going to become the guy that you look up to. So you have to really dive in and almost search for the tough times. Search for, I'm not saying go to prison, but search for when 100%. You're in prison and appreciate being there, And obviously, a good friend of mine recently spent 3 months in prison unjustly, and we talk about it every single day. And he's like, for him, he is so happy that happened to him because it made him realize everything that he has. Yeah. And you can understand, like,
prison does that to you. It gives you that gratitude.
Gives you that gratitude and gives you that clarity of what you want from your life. 100%. You know what I mean? So you have come out now and you've grasped it with both hands and gone after it. First with fighting, now with BADR, and now with any of these future projects you have going on, now with the crypto space. I mean, anything that you have going on now, you understand the urgency to achieve these things, because one day we're going to be gone and then all we have is the legacy that we leave. 100%. You know what I mean? So I think, what else is going on in Kane Mousah's world right now?
For where I'm up to now, currently, obviously we've got, and the side passion for me, look, I'm always about earning money, right? Yeah. Because I believe that without finance, for me, without finance, you can't support your family to the best of your ability. Financial strain is not a nice place for anybody, and life's not, when people say it's all about money, no, life is not all about money, but believe me, money is a very, very, very important part of life. And that is because, when people are under financial strain, it doesn't make living a good place to be, a good existence. So for me, I work to make money, and I also want to have fun when I'm making money, and I like to be passionate about something that I'm doing. I'm passionate about clothes. I'm passionate about this, the kids stuff that we're doing, and I'm passionate about dogs. So when I was younger, I used to always breed dogs, but I always used to do my own type of outbreeding with dogs. Yeah, I had pit bulls, and I used to breed them all and try and mix a Johnson Bulldog with a pit bull and trying to make a bigger pit bull. And when I went to prison, they neutered my dog, my boy, and it was one of my outbreeding Johnson pit bull bulldog breeds, and he was a big dog, and I wanted to get his semen to breed another dog, but then when I went in jail, they neutered him, so I couldn't breed. So that was the end of my bloodline. Yeah, so I was no, Luke, listen, bro, I was wounded. Yeah, it hurt me. Yeah, so then obviously I came out, did my thing, and then pit bulls are too big for me now. I love them as a breed, but for me, they're too big. And then the French Bulldog space came around, and I found my intrigue came into it, and then I understood that these guys are breeding French Bulldogs, but then I started hearing about how much money was being made. Like, you know, some French Bulldogs are being sold for £150,000. Some of them are being sold for 200 grand, some 50, 60, and then obviously at the bottom end. So the way the game is structured is that it's about outbreeding. At this level, is outbreeding for specific looks and DNA, then breeding it back to the French Bulldog, then doing generational breedings to make that trait stay in it, but it makes it back to a French Bulldog if you breed it over and over and over again, but you breed the outbreed. But then what happens is it's very competitive, and it's a natural movement. So for me, as my side passion, I breed exotic, high quality French Bulldogs. And my partner that I'm working with, he's got international relationships, and he sells dogs all around the world, Germany, America. So that's like a little passion for me, but it's a passion that also makes money as well.
It makes a bit of money. I mean, I know nothing about dogs.
Yeah, listen, that's another rabbit hole we could go down.
I could never imagine buying a dog for 200 grand.
Nah, but it's the breeding, that's the breeders that pay that. That's the breeder. It's a breeder's market at that high end point. It's the breeders, they pay that for their programs. So breeders don't sell dogs at that price point to consumers. No, it's to other breeders who then use the look of that DNA to be able to create a crazy looking dog, but it might not have all the DNA packed in it, but it looks amazing, and then they can sell that for 10 grand, 15 grand, 5 grand. So it's a crazy little world, but I'm involved in it and I like it, and it doesn't take any of my time really. It's just do a mating, put this dog here. And my mum's actually involved now. I've got my mum. My mum's one of my whelpers, but she enjoys it and it keeps her occupied as well. Do you know what I mean? And that's another thing for me, is like doing stuff for my mum as well, bro. Like, it's about my mum, man. My mum really did a lot for me when I was coming up, and like even just this little thing now, she earns from it and makes from it, and it's something that I can do.
It's family business, mate, involving everyone. Well, I think the big lesson there is, like I always say, is you can't pour from an empty cup.
Of course.
So if you want to help people, it's much easier to help people when you got money than it is when you're broke. Exactly. So I think I think that gets lost a lot. People talk about the passion of making money because they think you're going to spend it on crap. But if you're going to build out teams and you're going to help people and you're going to change people's lives,
it's about impacting others.
You know, you're impacting others, and I think you're doing a great job of that. And I think you're a great example to the youth of Manchester.
Yeah, well, let's say the youth of England, the youth of everywhere.
So it's like you can be in dark places and you can get to the
always, as long as you maintain belief.
That's it. That's believe in yourself. So I think amazing to have you on, Kane. I really appreciate it. If you just close off, just let everyone know where they can follow you, where they can find you. You know what's going on.
Yeah. So to be fair with everybody, you can follow me on Instagram, Kane M14. That's where you find me.
Well, we'll put all the below and in the bio. You'll be able to find all the links and find Kane and see his story and find BADR. We'll put
BADR Sport. You got BADR Raising Rivals. You got Rival. Look, Luke. That's why I just said that, because I could go on all day, but we'll put it in there anyway. But thank you for having me on as well, bro.
All good, bro. All good. Thank you very much, and thanks for watching, guys. If you got here, make sure you hit subscribe. We've got loads of podcasts coming every week and loads of information for you. So see you soon.